going to that. Okay, so now both of them are working. Nice. Did it show up on there, a big snap? Sweet. And then we can also do that again. Yeah. That one is back things. That's gone, that's gone. This is working.
I got a mini fan now. Just because I was so then, before I get started, you're going to want to make a new UV project. So, I'll start doing that now. Take a look at that. Just making sure if everyone in here is all on the same page. We'll start from the very basics. Shouldn't take you catch it up.
Dude, those are bomb though. Abs.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I have like JavaScript script builder. Just using JavaScript to use functions. First class objects. Oh, so yeah, so it's really weird, but it's got some really cool applications. All of the program, all of the stuff I've written with it, we're talking about. It's like they're very helpful, but I'm just definitely probably each thing is free.
How do you open things like
Did you create a script? Okay, it's if you create a new script, you just have to down how it goes on the
but I don't know how to get I don't know how to do it.
You're using the spine I still don't know. I'll let that.
you figure out what you do? Yeah. I mean, they're usually made on the yeah.
It's gonna work. It's fine. I'm trying to find unity. It will not. And I'm so sorry. Like my back, but not in the bed. Over there. Is that it? I'm gonna drag it on my desk. Hooray. Yay! That took way too long.
So if you want to make it easy,
I think, yeah, it's good.
yeah, nice. So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about coding unity. We're going to start with a couple basics of coding, but mainly going into the separate things that you have so that you can change objects. I'm using I already done. Okay, let's begin. So, first we're going to create a new C shortcode. So it's just like creating anything in your project. So you right click on here, go into the create tab of that, and then you should see C code. So create, and then C# is right on the top. So, yeah. Now, you have to name it something without space. So, if you use multiple words, capitalize each word without any space between it. So I'm just going to call it new code. And then hit enter on it, and it should work. Huh? That was camel case. I'm in Java. I started in Java. New code. So you should be able to, now that you have a new piece of code on here, so since you got a new piece of code, if you double click on it, it will open up whatever editor that is prioritized so far. So do that now. It might take a little bit to load up, so I'm just going to go through this. So usually we can just double click on it. My editor is already open, so it just goes to it. I'll talk about what's going on here in a little bit. But while all of your codes are opening up, I'm going to cover some basics of Unity, basics of coding. So, can make variables in both. The three major ones are integers and floats. Integers can be used for like scores, anything that's just a single number without decimal points. That's sufficient. Yeah. So you guys all good on integers? Boolean floats? Okay, fine. Yeah.
We already have either true or false. I can't have like 5. As in, removing any equal 5, it can only be true or false. Integer, yeah, is always like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can't be 3.2. Let's give you whatever you want.
Except one special thing that you have to do. Putting in 7, it will work fine. Putting in 7.6, it'll throw an error. Because for some reason you have to put an F on after it. In Java you don't have to do this. In
The
C
F
Sharp.
is just specifying that it is a float. Because there's another type called bubble that's pretty much is very similar to very similar. Unity likes to use floats for pretty much everything because that's how they do the positioning and whatnot. So they're used for positioning.
Yeah.
It's just a number. All it is it's just a way of storing. What?
We're just making the game, we're not making it. But, those are used for anything that can be something not. So, if you did use floats, you can only be at 0, 0, 1, and anyway, those can be just allowed you to use that. Then you can divide them. And you can,
But
yeah.
if you take an integer and you say it's equal to 5.5, it won't work because you're trying to get the value. You have to say equal to 5.
Yes, it is.
Why would you be able to use that one? You can have a, you can make a double for your position if you use scores for all the numbers. So it won't do much more. You basically have to make a double and then after this,
Doubles give you more odds to work with, but you're not going to use that. And then, does anyone not know what a method is? Or how you call it? Alright. You know that. Alright. So, a method is a way that we just pull code to be used at other times. So, if I were to say, this guy changes position, I could have another set of code that all I do is touch method XYZ, and whenever it sees that code, method XYZ, it will copy this bit, and this bit will be whatever. So we say set position, wherever method XYZ, it's a way of specifying them that you can have, one giant. Yeah, the function. Oh. Method function. Obviously, we can put value into it, so we have input, whether or not we do this. Then, methods always like to have, parentheses, that comes, and then everything that you curly braces. You guys know if an ordinance? Right. Or,
Let's go over that later. I don't think we need to go over it. Are we even going to use them?
No. We're only going to use this, not those. So,
We want to order too long.
it's not everyone if someone doesn't know. So, has everyone's code opened up yet in your editor? Go good on that. Can you guys see your code so far? The new one that's made? So, so all pieces of code that you make in Unity have two methods automatically added to them. The first one is start, and the second one is up. These are methods that Unity has ingrained into it itself. So, and Unity will call them, the game engine will call these methods regular. Update. Okay, we're going to talk about so update is a great example of this. That every update, every code we've seen is called everything. So when I hit play, it will automatically start calling update of everything that's in the game. I use update to make sure that the yellow balls last time was teleport to the right position. It's basically so that whenever a thing happens, whenever your frame is drawn, basically, you can check stuff, you can call stuff. I'm only using update later, but start only happens once, and it's called whenever that code is created for the game to start. So in your game, whenever we're going to be putting cubes as well into this game, if a cube has code that has something that has something in the start method, then that will be called as if the game starts. So you can have things like your hello, welcome to the game text. You can have what's some good other start methods.
If you have like a player's speed and a player exists in the game, your start would be setting the player's speed to whatever number you want it to be, because at the very start you want to make sure you get that number. You wouldn't be setting their speed every single time or every frame of the game. You'd be setting it just once at the beginning. And if you have a bullet that you're creating, the bullet's start will be called once it's made. That's the interaction. So it's called the first frame, basically.
So, in that case, a gun would make a new bullet, which the bullet has now just started to exist. So, a start method would be called, and whatever happens, like as you were saying, like velocity, the bullet start method will just say go forward at this. Yeah. And there's a lot of other methods that Unity has that will fall into the situation. But these are the only two, you might get another one. These are the only two that I'm going to be talking about for updates.
The only one that you really need.
Yeah. Most everything will fall into an updater. A lot of huh?
There's only two more that we do. Just a waiting.
Yeah, don't worry about the other stuff. I don't even know those two. So, now that's code, but your code gets attached to objects. Let's just go through and make a new cube. I didn't have this stuff pre-made. Create 3D cube. Just make a cube that we're going to be attaching codes to.
Name it.
Huh?
Name
Name it?
it. What's this cube's name?
What's this cube's name?
Phil.
Phil?
Not Phil.
Phil?
Nope.
Do I know any? No, but I know of Phil.
Name it Phil.
But, no!
Name it Fillmore.
Well, we're gonna destroy this cube eventually. I don't want to destroy
Phil's
Phil.
hard. He's a fucked up guy.
Fine, fine. It's
Call Phil cube.
Phil cube.
Call Phil. That's not how you spell Phil. What the hell are you doing?
It's a filled cube.
No.
Fill the cube. Alright, you can name whatever cube you want. Oh, I need a center on it.
Everybody else name it Phil again.
So, that actually is another good thing about Unity. You can name stuff up here, and over in your hierarchy, it will show up as that. So, if you got a couple houses in the village, you can name each house after a person. That's another way you can track but everything that exists in Unity has this guy up here called a transform. And it gives you the position, the rotation, the scale, all that fun stuff. And all these things can change in the editor. And now, could you change the Y to a
Yeah, I got you. You can enter the number, or you can
and then it just
scroll it around,
up a bit.
or use the arrow. A lot of different ways.
Actually, could you scroll it up a little bit? So, hopefully it isn't that bad. As you can see, it's a 0.69, so that means it can't be an integer. All transforms, all things in transform are actually floats. So, right now we have a float of 5.69. That's the first float. But all these things are values that we can change in code. So, to record anything, any part of anything in Unity, you have to know its name. So this thing's name is transform. So we're going to be using the transform name, and then let's say we want to change the position of it. We're also going to be using the position name, and then we can put in X, Y, and so, can you go over to code? I'm just going to do this bit.
Yeah, go for that.
So, let's just quickly add our new piece of code to the object itself. Please.
You should learn how to do it without dragging.
Without dragging?
Without dragging.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So, like how we did mesh renderers and rigid bodies, you can also do add component. Now it gives you a search bar. You can just type in the name of your code. Mine is new code, and it'll come up with this C# logo on the side. That means it's a C# code. And then there you go. The new code has been added to this filled cube. So, if you double click on new code again, it'll bring you back to your code itself. And so, let's say we want to change the position of this block as soon as it starts. So we're going to be putting code inside of the start method that tells this this specific object to change its position to a certain value. So I'm just going to start writing it, then explain it. So there's a fun keyword that I use a lot in Unity. It's called this. This is an awesome call because it's basically a reference to itself. Right, the word this will allow you to change anything that game object has. So one thing that it has is a transform. So we're going to do dot just to separate everything out.
You guys does anybody
Here.
not understand what the dot means here? Yeah, it's basically when you put a dot, going into the next level of what's attached to what you have on the left. So this is referring to the script. Script of new code. When you say dot transform, when you have the transform attached to that, then you would say dot position, or you get specifically the position there. And then dot x, yeah, give you the x of that position. So basically that's either one or has one. Yeah. It's basically like going into
Yeah. Folders that you can change values of. So yeah, the reason why I said transform is because that's the name of the file that we're looking at. And then we want to change position. So we go back over here, dot position. Huh? Oh, yeah. Usually I have like quick things that come up. It's weird. Okay, just a second. No, it's my editor is just being weird right now. Sadly in Unity, we can't change individual X, Y's, or Z's with dot position. It takes in this new thing called, it takes in 3 values at one time. And one way that the way that it does it, it's called a vector 3. Really? This is why I was going to pull up my sample.
Okay, I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually when I'm coding, it will automatically fill things in. It's probably because I haven't saved it yet.
So all of vector 3 is basically just it's a package of 3 variables in it, and it's almost always associated with x, y, and z. So if you're saying x, y, z coordinates of a position, use this to scale, rotation like this. If you just wanted to pull 3 variables and get positions, basically.
You might want to. So, here. As Jake was saying, it holds 3 values, so I just put in 2 vector 3, 1, 2, 3. That will say that this location itself is at x1, y2, and z2. Actually, I think this is good. We can just, since we've already added it to our block itself, when we hit play on Unity, it will call this start method and it will just go to this transform position, which is where we saw, and set x to 1, y to 2, and z to 3. So, hit play on your program. Okay. Wait a second. So, this cube's position is loading. 0, 5, 6, 9, 0. Gonna hit play. Then new code 0, 0. Oh, I forgot to save it after that. Always make sure to save your code. Save. So 0, 5.69, 0. Hit play. Now it pops to 1, 2. This is how I made the ball go to the same point. I just specified a specific x, y in the vector group that it copies whenever it went below a certain level. So you can also get the values out of your transform position. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our code. And these will be a little bit long calls, but what we're going to do is the same thing as this transform.position in the x. So this dot transform position, and then this is a type vector 3, but we only want the x value. So you do dot x, and this in and of itself will give us just the x. So for the cube currently, set that at 0, 5, 0. It will keep the 0 in the x, and then move to 2, 3. So instead of going from 1, 2, 3, it will go to 0, 2, 3.
This is useful if you're trying to get your character to markers. You want to have it better how you send it out. When you try to call the function, one key accent basically just the same. Rather than changing the laws, you have to do it for execution, the accent will be set basically what the function is. Change one is like that equals five. Yeah, you said no. You need to go to you need to have this view of the cell. That's what it's called. Set that. Okay. Say dot x again to the x. Then you set that. There are more convenient ways to do it. This is pretty rudimentary way of changing variables. There's a lot more.
So I saved it. I can hit play now, and then it keeps the x and the y. This is. I'm just going to switch here and that's coming up. But dot position is really good for changing all three, like when all three of them change. But there's another method that Jim was speaking on beforehand that will allow you to just change one individual.
So setting a position like this is useful if you're trying to set the positions. You're trying to set it to a specific spot. Whereas if you're trying to convert arguments, there's a much more.
Yeah, actually, I haven't used it before. Do you want to type it up?
Sure. I think I wrote it.
You said translate.
Yeah, it's believe it's this dot transform dot translate. So you can say, if I wanted to say translate, I could put 0, 1, what the hell? 0. And what that would do is that's basically a shorthand way of saying
The transform position is equal to factor 3 of already an x, so transform position x, and then keeping its y and saying only move it by, or only, sorry, the z, only move it in the y direction by 1. Because it's doing it every frame, it'll probably move.
Yeah, I'm going to shorten it up.
Yeah, that's probably smarter to do it by a small value, otherwise it would go really fast, because updates are called.
Yeah. So this is a good example of how fast update gets called, especially when you don't have that many things in your scene. Yeah. It's not even using this one. Yeah, just navigating on continuing on. Yeah. Good for that build in queue. Build in queue. So, there's like whenever I do something that should be using dot translate, I've always been using dot position. So, good thing is you want to learn all of these things, but there's also a website that you can keep such made with different methods. So, I'll show you guys this now. So, if you want to open up Chrome or a web browser,
Yeah, so it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of roll the dice whether it's capitalized or not.
what? But, so Unity has a great resource for code. It's called Unity documentation, or docs.unity3d. Just throw that into Google, and then it brings you to this guy. Yeah. What?
Highlight something in your code. Yeah. You can also just look up Unity on Google at Unity space.
Yeah. So, how did I open up a new one? No idea.
Just search Unity.
Oh yeah, yeah. And also any method can just be searched, so Unity Translate. And then also doc Unity 3D. Go in here and it gives you all the information about it.
They'll give you a description of what it does. They'll give you code examples. They'll give you what you put in a parentheses. It's super useful. You're trying to figure something out. Look it up in here. I don't know how often I'll just copy their. It's just they'll give you something.
So yeah. online, awesome resource. But getting back to Unity. Position, translate. Alright. So as I said, Phil is going to die during this. So, what I want to happen is I want Phil to have gravity effect him, and as soon as he reaches the point that under y0, I want him to destroy it. So, we're going to tack on a weak body so that the gravity is like.
Not even happy enough to see him die, you gotta make him kill himself.
I'm making the code do it, so it's morbid,
You're not
but
even giving him a choice?
we don't want to do random numbers yet, so no. We prove it. Or just make it play Dark Souls. So, this code is attached to, I'm gonna name him Bob actually. It's gonna be Bob. It's gonna be Bob.
The community has voted that he should be killed.
I don't think we actually voted. People just said Phil.
Phil. Name him Phil.
I am dictator. I get to choose Bob. Oh, I forgot the H. Jeez. It's just Phil now. Fine? Are you guys happy? Okay, I hate when programs do this. They require you to hit enter to finish something. I'm like, just let me click off.
Make sure you really want to do it.
The affinity that I use to draw stuff does that as well. So it's just like. So, Phil now has a rigid body, which means he'll fall. I went back over to my code, and I don't want any of this other stuff to happen, so I'm just going to comment it out. Comments are just putting double slashes, forward slash, right? Forward slashes before everything. So I'm going to remove that bit and this bit.
Really helpful for putting like explanations of what that line does, reading back, weird, it puts it into then you wrote a comment that this makes the point that you know, okay, it's some indication of what's going on. Yeah, exactly how they use it. So that's not how code is written, so they just put it in comments.
So, we don't want any of this code to happen, because we're going to add in an if statement. So, we're going to write if. So, all this will do is we're going to put a conditional, also known as a boolean, inside the if, and this if will be checked every time the update is called, but it will only do the code inside of it when that string condition is met. So, as I said, we wanted to, we're going to destroy Phil in here. So, we only want to destroy Phil. Huh? Okay, my O key is broken. That's how I named him before. How do you know my L key isn't broken? So, besides my horrible spelling, we want Phil to be destroyed in this method, in this if state. So, that only happens when he is below 0y. So, we're going to take in his y position right now. So this dot transform position. And then just to get the value, we're going to do y. And now it's, this is a float, not a boolean. That's why you're getting a red arrow. But to say below 0, we're going to do below 0. So that's just taking this position. Oh my goodness, you've been here for 3 years. Yeah. Like first executive.
This one was 3 squared, like 18. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I think we have all of these.
Wait. I was in the one last year. I'm still over the run.
So, to destroy things in Unity, it has another one of these special universal methods. Basically, just called destroy. So, we're going to put this destroy method call in here. So, destroy, and then this will take in the game object that we want destroyed. So, technically, when we write this, it's actually the code itself. So right now, this is representing
Still presenting new code.
yeah, new code.
So you don't want to call it. Yeah, just delete the code, but the object is still here.
So, every code has a reference to its game object called game object with lowercase g and uppercase O. And so we're going to be destroying the game object itself with this destroy code. So, writing through it again. Every tick, if it's lower than 0, we just add.
The reason we're not saying if it's equal to 0 is because Unity moves at a certain amount of frame. It doesn't see the value of it moves. So it might skip over 0 based on what it is. You want to say less than 2 or less than.
Yeah.
Make sure that you. And if it's going really, really fast and it skips from 1 to negative 12, it's going that fast in time frame. You want to make sure you're still doing it.
So, go back over here. Got good old Phil.
Does anybody need to see the code?
Yeah. Just gonna hit play.
Drop.
And so, as I was saying before, whenever you hit play, it creates a new copy of your game and displays it. So the cube isn't actually destroyed at this point. When we hit play again to stop it, Phil will come back to its original position. It was back. Also, if you had Phil start below 0, it would just destroy on that first position. No, I can do it. Just like, no, so let's say that Phil doesn't want to die. So because Phil is being affected by gravity, by the rigid body, Phil wants to destroy the rigid body, not himself, before the rigid body destroys himself. So we're going to put in another if. So this if will be called before the other if. So, all I did was just copy and paste the old if loop. We're not going to be putting all this. There's stuff that's pondered out. We're not going to put in. But I just included by one, so it's called earlier. Now, everything that the game object has, every component that the game object has, such as the rigid body or rectangular, can be referenced in code. Now, this is used through a call called getComponent. So, this is a reference to the code. The code does not have components on it, but the game object does. So we're going to use the game object and then dot get component. And then we're going to add stuff to this, but it's just code referencing the game object that contains a component that we're going to say is the rigid body. So this get component is fun because it takes in something that's not necessarily a value, but is a type. So a C# code is not a value, it's a type. So as we said, fill over here has a rigid body. So I'm going to go in here and just type in rigid body. So inside of these like less than and greater than signs, you can't put any like int floats. You actually put in a type. Oh, that's one. It gives you a little bit of reference on one of your body that is highlighted. But so we're going to get a component type called rigid body, and then we're going to destroy that rigid body. So as we did earlier, we can write destroy and then put this whole mess of code inside of it. So it's going to retrieve the rigid body itself, and then it's going to destroy that rigid body. And so, because this is happening earlier up, only, it will save itself, but gravity won't affect that. So, let's save our code so that it actually works. Go over here, and just hit play. So, unless I'm mistaken, it should, yeah, it just stops at, a value between 1 and 0. So, it will successfully destroy the rigid body, and then that's fine. I was just saying earlier that lots will skip a good amount of space between text. As you can see here, the last jump was from somewhere above 1 to point towards 8. I think it's because Unity does their position with the rigid body, it does it by the velocity. So because it was moving at a certain speed, they could the next frame, it would reach below 0, and that's why it faulted. So if it had enough speed, one more frame it would have gone less than 0. So you would think it's less than 0. Yes, exactly. If that's the series, that was nice. Let's see. Nope, destroy is still there. Oh, you did put it to less than. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So, one thing we could try is we could lift fill up higher. Since there's gravity, it will just accelerate and accelerate. So, let's see. He might actually save himself with this. Good going. Yeah. This time it was actually posted for. So yeah. This, I would recommend doing this in the game because it's always uncertain like how far the jump each thing will be. Yeah. But this is a good example of showing transform, destroy. So that's how you get components. This is also how you can get with code. You just put the code name in it, such as if you said new code 2. If there's let's say we made new code 2, new version of new source code, put that in the same game object and have a call to get new code 2. So we then have a reference for it and be able to call everything. So that's actually yeah. So next thing I'm going to jump into is public. Yeah. Alright, this will work. So let's add a new cube and a new thing of code. So going in here, just going to add 3D object. Let's make it a sphere this time. We got a sphere. Oh wait, I forgot to unplay my thing. So 3D object, sphere, sphere guy. What's the sphere's name? Huh? There.
Save yourself like 10 minutes of arguing.
No, you're the only one that says Larry, so I'm gonna name it Bomb. It's Larry. If you're gonna give me names, I'm gonna spell it how I want it. So we got Laurie and Phil. Actually, Phil. Come back down here. 5. So, instead of Phil killing himself, he's gonna kill Larry. We're not going to kill. So, Unity has this nice thing that it deals with public variables. That whenever you make a variable at the top of your file, and you give it a public in front of it, you can change that in Unity under stuff. So, just as an example, I'm going to make a public int called give me int. Huh? So now, oh, there we go. It takes a little bit to update, but now you can see inside of new code, inside of Phil. So Phil has new code, and it has give me int. Here, you can change it to 4, or -2. Let's just leave it at -2. We can use this value inside of our destroy Phil. I'm going to comment this out. Do you guys know about big comments? Rather than doing just a dash dash, dash dash high, you can use dash star. The dash star comments everything until it's started out. So an easy way is just to keep everything out rather than making a comment. So dash star, Phil won't destroy his rigid body. So this code will still run, but we want to use this given int to define when this method is called. So rather than saying 0, we're going to say less than or equal to this. This way, when we're in Unity, we can change this value in our inspector to change where this method is. So you can name your int whatever your public int whatever you want. X, Y, Z, but those are also everything. So, given int, we're going to save this out and run the code. Save it. Go back over here. And actually fill up a bit. So, down here we have a -2. So that means Phil will destroy himself when he reaches below -2. Gonna hit play. And boop, there you went. Just he went below -2. Destroy himself there. You can also change it to the +3. And that will happen sooner. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So right now we got give me int at 3. His value is 5 right now. Go frame by frame. It's at 3.9 now. 3.5. 3. Now it's less than 3, I guess. So now it just destroyed himself. Yeah. But yeah, that's fine. One really quick thing about public and private. First of all, everything is by default private, which just means that you can only access it within the frame that it was made. But a really helpful thing about public variables is that you can actually use them to debug pretty easily. So if I made a public float my velocity, so I'm making a float that will show up in the inspector. And what I can actually do is under update, I can say my velocity is equal to this .get component rigid body dot, I didn't spell rigid body right. I'm pulling a Nate right now. I can't spell. Jeez. So rigid body velocity. Your O thing is broken. Yeah.
Dot y.
Fixed, but then it broke within a day.
So basically, what I did in this line was I just I made a new float and I said it's equal to the rigid body that's attached to this object. It's equal to that velocity in y direction. So what I can then do is if I go back to the inspector, Jesus, you have so many things open. Okay.
Yeah.
If I go back into the inspector, make this smaller,
shoot, I need to save it. What's tab key for that? Control S for saving. Oh, okay. There's also a save all function. Oh, yeah. So now I can see my velocity down here on the right, where my mouse is right there. And if I change this to 100, it won't change anything because I'm not actually using that value for anything. I'm using it to see. So what I can do is if I press play, I can see that it's actually returning my velocity at this time. So you can actually use public variables to see stuff through the inspector, which can make testing a lot easier rather than trying to finagle with the values and try and pull up stuff yourself. You can set a public variable equal to something so that you can look at it as you go, so you can tell. So if I had code that was trying to say if my velocity was lower than -10, do something, rigid body doesn't show velocity unless you actually call it. So by doing this, I could see, okay, it's getting closer to -10. Boom, that's when it would have been called. So it's public things can be pretty helpful for debugging as well. I just wanted to show that. Yes. So I made this float and then set it. Yeah, you can actually that's okay. So the reason why we created another object is here in my case is so that we can take any reference to that sphere and do stuff. So we're going to go make a public variable, public, and then everything is technically a game object. This is where you use capital G and capital O. So game object. Huh? We're gonna change it from not just being married to other people. You could put fathers. So really good. So now we have public game object that is just a reference to whatever we put into that. So I'm gonna go back to Unity. Now wait for it. So new code now has bad guy, which you can put a game object into it. So we got Larry here. No. So, okay. So, what you can do to find things like game objects, you can click on the circle right next to the public variable. I'll bring up this tab. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So it brings up this tab. I generally don't use this, but assets and scene. Sometimes dragging stuff doesn't. Yeah. Sometimes you have to get multiple windows open. So I have a lot of other game objects because I was testing stuff out. But down here is Larry. Double click on Larry, and you should pop up right here. Then the same. This code chooses these as a game object. So that checks out bad guy, game object, Larry. And now we have records. That's a game object. And as we build by using this reference with your non-game object, we're going to reference
Larry's game object and restore that.
So, Phil is going to sacrifice Larry because Phil doesn't want to die. So, down here where we have this .game object, we're just going to delete it and then put bad guy in. So as we had up here, bad guy is now down there, and we're going to destroy bad guy when Indian is greater than. So, we got Phil and Larry. Is that the VeggieTales actually? Bob. Alright, Bob and Larry. So, hit play. Q falls. I forgot to hit save. That's a good thing. Hit save. So, that was the old code. This is the new code running. Q falls. Sorry, Larry and then Q falls. So, fill up to this time. This time. Huh? That's right. Yeah, we have to go through oh, here's my phone. So, let's give Larry some code. So, we're going to make create new code. Let's name it new code 2.
By the way, you should name your code better.
Yeah. Right now, yeah. Usually you name it out of the specific task that you're giving it. Right now, the task of the code is changing every time. Code off. So, like, I would name new code 1. What would be a good name for what Phil does? Yeah. I say kill all because spawning is done by the file. So, I'm going to kill all code, and I'm not sure what new code 2 will do. So, yeah. So, let's go to Larry. Let's add a component, and this will be new code 2. So just add new code 2 to there. And then this is where we're going to add methods to stuff. So we got new code 2. And let's say rather than having Phil destroy Larry, we're going to have Phil tell Larry to change this position. Or that's a good way of explaining it. So void. Let's call it. So inside this new code 2, I just made a new method called move up. Yes. We're doing get component for yeah. So this also has to be a public method. Unity gets away with not calling their start and their update public because just the underlying process.
Yeah. Yeah. But, so, we have a method called move up. This we're just going to do this transform, translate, then change the y by 1.
So this dot transform dot and then x will not change, y will change, and z will change. So this method is not called by anything. It will do nothing in the current game because nothing will tell it to do. So, as we did with the rigid body, we're going to go to our new code. It's being weird right now. Going back to Phil's code, and where it has destroy bad guy. We're not going to do that anymore. So, to get a component, you need a game object. We have a game object called bad guy, and then we can do a get component call on it. And since we know for sure that bad guy will be a reference to Mary, we're going to do get component new code 2, because that is a component of Larry. So new code 2. So this whole thing just returns a reference to new code 2. And since new code 2 has a method called move up in it, we can call that method move up with just a reference to new code 2. So inside these 6 references, it will give us a reference to new code 2. And then, so we're basically saying new code 2 has to move up, except we're referring to a specific game object. Then once we save this, since we already have move up completed, this will just call move up, will be very up. If we had just named him Bob, I would actually remember his name. Huh? It's Bob and Bill. Those are the 2 basic names you always use. Huh? Oh! Well, this is fun. Right now, Larry is... Let's zoom out. Larry is going to space. Because Phil is continuously... Oh, jeez. I lost my memory distance. So, what happened there was Phil kept going down, so he kept calling move up method. So,
So, can I have all your attention up here? If you ever have an error in Unity, it will show up
Inside this thing called your console. So, let's say easy error, I just remove that. say, oh, this red line appears, go over here, hit play, and then it tells you that there's an error. It tells you the line that it's on and what text. So, viewcode.cs, that's error.
Just that right there.
Being up at like 3 a.m.
I guess you do.
So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about buttons and UI. So, as we showed us last time, we can put scroll through UI. This time we're going to talk buttons that will physically change the game out. So, right click up there, make UI button, and then that will make a canvas for you, set it to your camera, and make a button for you. So your button will most likely be on the screen. So if you don't click on button, you'll find it. You can also preset its location by. So this is how it usually looks. If you left click on this thing right here, you'll set up where it's locked to in your scene. And a fun thing that I got shown last week was you hit Alt, and then as long as you hold down Alt and click one of these guys, let's say this one, it will both change its position and its locking position to that point.
Oh, do you guys understand what it means by locking? It basically means that you're anchoring it to a certain point on the screen. So if you have a screen resolution that's square, it's locked to the top left, below, and the top left. If you have a screen resolution that's really wide, it will still be top left and the top left. So it can help you set up a UI that works with pretty much every screen resolution because of the size they have.
Corner base is from that one to that.
Depends on where you
Really resizing that. Yeah. Text wise, you can also change the text, say whatever you want it to say. Yeah, this will be the last thing concluding. So, button contains a text. The button is just this box that we see. It's this box, and the text is what's inside of it. we can change the text here to Larry. Oh, lovely, caps lock. Yeah, move Larry. So, buttons work well with methods. So, as we did before, the show code methods inside of Larry. And we can do the same thing with this button. If you scroll down, there'll be a tab that says inside a button, we'll have this thing called onClick. OnClick is technically a method inside of it. We'll go in and add something. Always leave this at runtime. You don't have to change any of this. Then we choose a game object that we want to modify. Then you just go to Larry once again. And then, so we got a reference to the game object Larry inside a button that's activated on click. So that's whenever we're in the game and we click move Larry, this thing will happen. To set up what we want to happen, we go to the function tab over here. Then move code 2 is attached to Larry. And it has method move up. And you just click on move code 2, move up, hit play of your code, then whenever you click that button, there's your go. Actually, you want to stop Bill from falling, so just remove the component of his rigid body, and then he won't fall. There we go. So, you just click it, and there you go.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's not the final version. I did last year, because were you ever able to get where you go? The thing that I get that the best thing that you had options for, maybe you need to get raw. And that's workshop. So, Oh, okay. So that's basically it for this tutorial. In 2 weeks, we're going to be posting a game jam. This tutorial and next week's Saturday's tutorial will hopefully get you ready for it. We're going to have a lot of alumni there, experienced members that will be able to help you out with game jam. So, go experience the fire, win prizes. We got a sponsor giving us some prizes, games and whatnot. And yeah, 48-hour game jam. Starts at 6, goes till 6. A whole lot of fun.
6 Friday.
Yeah.
And then 6. 48 hours. It'll be great. Get your homework done beforehand.
Yeah.
Get everything out of the way. Get as much as you can.
Quick pass round. Yeah, I want to I also want to have
No, like one class just layers itself up on this one layer. So this is both the microphones going. So yeah, awesome.